Good morning to all. Thank you for joining us. As we continue our webinar series of Impact the COVID-19 pandemic across different sectors of the real estate industry, today we focus on the hospitality industry and we hope to impact some turnkey solutions and best practices for managing hotels during market crisis. My name is Fausto Liviano and I will be co-hosting today this webinar with my colleague Raymond Velasquez.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Fausto. Since the hospitality industry is a huge topic, we will be tackling this discussion in several parts. Today, in the first part, we're honored to have distinguished guests with extensive experience in the hospitality industry. Our first guest is Mr. Stanley Law, General Manager of Dusit Thani, Manila, who will provide his insights from the hotel operator's point of view. And we also have our colleague who heads our hospitality and leisure real estate, Mr. Tim Hallett. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you, Raymond.
Yeah, so without a doubt, the tourism and hospitality industry has been among the hardest hit by this ongoing pandemic. And some sectors like resorts, for instance, have some total standstill. Tim, my first questions for you. Could you give us an overview on the extent of the effect of this pandemic in the industry and the economy up to now?
Yeah, thank you, Raymond, and good morning to everybody. And it's a pleasure to speak to everybody and share some very impactful views on the hospitality sector in the Philippines. Now, we feel that the overall epidemic seems to be a turning point in terms of the spread as we speak. But it's really difficult to know what the final impact will be on our economies. At this stage, the tangible impact on the hotels is tremendous. I mean, significant drop in booking pace, increased cancellation. Pretty much every event has been cancelled, and it's going to soon lead to other pressures as well. You know, the inbound traffic from airlines, right through to sort of capital pressures from banks and financing. So it's a big challenge. Most hotels are closed, only allowing long-stay guests that were in residence on or around the March the 17th deadline, who are allowed to continue. So it's challenging. If we look at the broader Asia issues, we know, as like the Philippines, everybody's running in single-digit or lower occupancies, and the crisis is really a big challenge to everybody. In the Philippines, tourism was in reality one of the bright stars of the Philippine economy. Development growth and investment in new destinations, airports, hotels was at the highest levels, and we were seeing so many new developments coming. Tourism contribution to the GDP was again a massive number. Potentially in 2019 reaching 3 trillion pesos. Of which over 500 billion was coming from international tourists, which again was funding the growth of our business. Yeah. If we look at the people, which is a significant factor in the industry, more than 6 million people of the employed population in the Philippines are actually employed in the hospitality industry. Exclusive of the millions of casual workers that work on daily support and contract service workers in the industry. Again, contributing a significant undisclosed impact on the economy. Smaller resorts have closed, branded hotels while remaining open, working single-digit occupancies, way below break-even points even. The longer we go on, the more impact it's going to have on the funding of the developers and the owners of these properties. Knock-on effects are also enormous, guys. The airline industry, the F&B industries are also being heavily impactful. So today will be good, and we can look at some of the issues, and we can maybe determine how, as a team, as an industry, we can all work together to help and transition our way out of the crisis. Thank you, Raymond, and thank you all, and let's have a good discussion.
Thank you, Tim. That's interesting.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Raymond. So the first question will go here to Stanley from me. Stanley, what is the current state of business in your hotel and in the local market?
Good morning, Fausto. Good morning, Raymond, and good morning, team. Yeah, pleasure to be here with everybody. So, as our team have said, it is a very challenging time for many of us in the hotels industry. Team have also shared that hotels are running single occupancy. Yeah. So in Dusit Thani, Manila, we are located in Makati City Center. So we are slightly better than a single digit because the Department of Tourism have certain regulations. You can take the business in 2 kilometers radius for essential industries. And we have a lot of BPO, business processing outsource operators over here. So hence our occupancy is at 20 to 25%. Yeah, slightly better than others at single digit. We're only providing packed meals for the in-house guests and doing some food delivery to survive the situations. All the restaurants, the facilities are closed. The hotel only generating very minimal revenue from the occupied rooms and from the packed meals or delivery that we have. We closed out the hotels also on last week, yeah, because we also in view of, we focus on the safety measurement, which we have to ensure because right now we have very skeletal workforce to do that. And majority of the guests, as team have mentioned, is long stay guests, and they are employees working with the BPOs in the 2 kilometer radius from the hotel.
Thank you, Stanley. And Stanley, at Dusit, what key initiative have you taken to mitigate business loss, and what profit or revenue protection plans have been introduced?
Well, this is a very important point that everybody look at, yeah, because everybody have a lot of initiative to mitigate all the losses that we have because it's a losses situation right now. But one thing very important that we have done over here, immediately after the situation of COVID-19 and enhanced quarantine or quarantine in different region have been announced, we look at our cash flow. So we know the forecast of our business with the current BPO. We look at the forecast and the minimal revenue that we generated, and then we see how long this cash flow can allow us to stretch to survive this period. On top of this current scenario, we also consider another scenario, the worst case scenario. So we put on another projection if the hotel have to shut down entirely, how long this cash flow will help us to survive. Protection plan for profit and revenue, as Fausto shared. We don't have any profit. Yeah? We only can mitigate losses that we have. So just one thing, to stretch the survival period as long as possible, and because we do not know how long this situation will last.
Cost containment is really a standard operating procedures are key during these times. Stanley, can you share with our audience any specific plans you have implemented so far?
Yeah, so that is quite a lot of details, but I just want to put in some very important points, the big tickets, so we can look at that. So as we know, in the highest cost in hotel operation is labor and utilities. Hence, we put a lot of effort, which later I will go through about this. And then we look at the break-even point. Team have briefly mentioned just now. Yeah. Example on reducing the cost per occupied rooms, cut all the non-essential expenses, yeah, such as like decoration in the lobby sanding. In this period of time, it do not add value anymore. And after this, we move on to various service contracts. So we have a list of service contracts to look at what is the things that we can eliminate, yeah, to stretch the survival period. So let me come back to labor and utility. Okay, in labor, so of course we have no casual, as Tim mentioned. Yeah, we cut the casual also. We only utilize our full-time employee. and we become very detailed in the productivity of the current full-time employee. This is no longer a business as usual kind of productivity evaluations. It's not like how many rooms and how many staff, how many guests in the restaurant, how many staff. It's not that formula anymore. So I give some examples. In a guest room, we clean twice a day because we want to reduce the contact of the room attendant with the guests. With occupancy of 20 to 25% for 490 rooms hotel like Dusitani Manila, we only need 4 room attendants to do that. Okay. So another example, like in the food and beverage, because the staff is only serving packed meals, we no longer operate the restaurant. The shift of the staff no longer the business as usual kind of shift. We do a shift from 2 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning, because they're only preparing breakfast for the in-house guests. And another very creative example that I want to bring out, like for example, a gardener. Normally they will just do a gardener job, but now they have to do a landscaping only until in the afternoon. And that the gardener, of course, you must hold a professional motorbike license. The gardener will be the one to do the food delivery from noon onwards until the evening. That's the kind of productivity we talk about. So other full-time employees who cannot report to work because of there's no transportations now, they are clearing on a vacation leave. Of course, the example that I shared about the gardener, the food and beverage, and the room attendant, that is only possible right now because, as you know, all the hotel staff are mandated to stay in a hotel according to the Department of Tourism regulation. So some roles can be also done in working from home. The words WFH become very popular. But I must also share that we must be very specific in the task that certain employees doing the WFH at home, and those duration of the time that they've taken to complete each task. From then only, we accumulate the number of hours and we award a full paid working from home pay, whereby the others will be considered a credit to the vacations leave. So the period of this quarantine have extended much longer. A lot of them will be running out of the vacation leave. For Dusitani Manila, we give a subsidy kind of unpaid leave to ensure that even in a unpaid leave period, all employees still get a minimum kind of pay, at least 40% that normally what they get. So that's on labors. I move to utilities. Aside from labor, as I mentioned early on, utilities is also another high tickets cost area. So let's look at the big ticket item. For example, the operation hours of the boiler. You need to be very specific. The reduction of the walk-in freezer in all the restaurants and areas that we have. The walk-in chiller as well. Shut down as many freezers and chillers that we do have. Aircon chiller temperature. You have to understand what time the guests wake up, what time they go to work. Because right now, you're serving a group of BPOs that work at, in the midnight. So you need to optimize the hours that needed and minimize hours that do not need. Lower number of guest leave, of course, with the numbers of occupancy, which is much lower. These are the big tickets item. About break even. So team talk about break evens. So for now, as we know, most of the guests are long stay in their BPO. We have to change the break-even point. I talk about room amenities. We replace guest amenities with much more practical long stay amenities. And the miniatures, bathroom amenities, dental kits are all no longer practical. And also the bottled water. We give a refill area for everybody to come down and pick up their water. Those are the big items that we talk about in cost containment.
Thank you, Stanley. I'm sure our audience for today will pick up a lot from how you're addressing this situation. Team, just a thought now. As we emerge in this crisis, what strategic actions should hotel developers consider in the future? And how do you think the hotel brands and operators align to support these strategies of the developers?
Yeah, thank you, Stanley. And I think Raymond and listeners, Stanley has really highlighted a lot of very, very good strategic points. But we try to look at this as a positive effect and how we can evolve opportunities to create platforms for our recovery, and how do we grow in the future. At the end of the day, from every crisis, we firmly believe that opportunities arise, and I think that's very important. We all need to keep in our mind. Yes, the industries will be changed. The industry will be changing. Yes, we will probably do things differently for a significant length of time. But the most important thing is that whatever strategic plans now, whether you're a small operator or a major brand, international brand, like Stanley has explained from Dusit, developing the plan, the rollout plan, and how we move ahead today is critically important. We shouldn't just allow things to just roll over and happen because they need to happen. So best practices, planning ahead is going to be really, really key to us all, whether it be in revenue management, the financing. Knee-jerk reactions can cause problems. We need to think about how we manage the revenue, we drive business into the hotels in a very strategic way. The way that we communicate, the crisis, how we manage crisis, how we communicate with our guests, how we communicate with our staff, how the staff communicate with our guests is going to be absolutely critical moving ahead. Stanley also mentioned, the guest needs. How are we going to deal with the guest experience today in terms of the rooms, the amenities that are required, the cleanliness of the rooms? Employees, the key driver in the hospitality industry is going to be our employees. They have more interaction with the guests and the management. The old adage is your porter, the guy that or the gal that delivers your luggage to the room spends more time with the guests than probably any senior member of the team. It's important that we channel down all of these things to our people. Effective communications, training, cross-training, as Stanley mentioned, all of these will be fundamental again. I mean, they are very strong in the hospitality industry, but we will relearn those processes. Cost containment, managing costs, developing those strategic plans, critically important. Profit protection plans, how we are going to manage all this within our annualized budgets. How are we going to work together with the industry and the team to achieve this? From a corporate perspective, for both the small operators and the larger developers, dealing with the corporate funding, the financing of the property, cash flow management, your debt, loans if that's required, or how you're going to generate alternative forms of revenue to mitigate any downturn in occupancy. Many things that we need to do as an industry. In terms of operators, what the big brands are doing, I think you've seen, just today what Stanley is telling us that they're doing there. Everyone is doing the same. We've seen multiple hotel closures in those areas where there's crisis. The good news is we're seeing in China today, some of those beginning to reopen, and we're beginning to see a small emergence of growth, which is really, really good. But operators are very well strategically positioned to be able to manage this through their very, very large networks and their presence in these markets. But equal concern, if not more concern, goes to the smaller owners and operators that really, really live on a day-to-day basis and run passion-based businesses in hospitality. We need to work hand in hand, whether you're a big operator, whether you're a capital player, whether you're a bank institution, with these smaller developers and hotel owners to help them and handhold them through the crisis.
Thank you, Tim. Hotel associates are a key part of this industry, Stanley. What measures have you taken to maintain associate engagement, and what safeguard measures have you initiated?
Yes, Fausto, you are absolutely right. Yeah. The associates now play a vital role in this surviving period. also team have shared with us, the associates, the staff, the porter. That is a person that communicate much more than the management. So, but we have to understand also the employee mindset is different compared to us as owners, as managers. Big figures, we've spoken a lot about cost containment. We talk about cash flow. That is very hard to draw the attentions of the employees. So of course, employees now, they report to work under stress and fear. They look at Facebook, they look at the news of the cases is increasing. So the employee can easily misinterpret that the management only care about generating revenue, and they are exposed to a kind of not safe working environment with the case of COVID-19 spreading. So engagement is really important. So being present is a must to lift up the spirit of the employee. So executive, like me, like the others, executive members and department heads, we are in the hotel canteen to have breakfast together with the staff nowadays, because most of the staff, they're staying in-house. They go for breakfast. So we want to be there with them for breakfast. And of course, we're going around the back of the house. No longer you check on the sales. There's no sales and marketing department. You check on the front desk. There's only 2 people in the front desk for the whole day. So we go to the back of the house. You go to the gardener quarter. You go to the housekeeping office that they do a daily briefing. You go to the laundry department. You see the frontliners, how they do their daily duties. We ask them what is the things that we can do to make them feel safer working in the current situations. Then you will get so much of ideas from them. Some gesture also touch the people's heart. For example, we carry alcohol sanitizer. Nowadays we joke about you drink more alcohol in your hand than your kidney. So you carry the alcohol sanitizer, you spray on their hand, and then call each of them by name, because in the normal days we say we have hundreds of employees. It's hard to know your porter name, your armed security. You're hard to know their name. But now there are few of them. You should address the gardener by name. You should address the cleaner in the washroom by name. You should address the armed security by name, because now they become porter and armed security. So in our hotel, the executive also take turns to do some serving of lunch and, as I say, breakfast as well. We also give away oranges now to boost the vitamin C, which is very important for them. We also give vitamin C tablets for the staff who is on shift as well. So as employees are staying in-house, we also created a makeshift laundry area for them to make sure their clothes are washed every time. We even purchase toiletries for them, so they do not need to bother about other things and just being focused in the duties that they are doing. From my office, I do a weekly memorandum to update the situation to them. So to eliminate any people that to get fake news or to get panic without necessary, we get a memo to update them the situation. We also shared some achievement we have done weeks by weeks, on the changes that we have. So those will improve the employees' trust in working in such an environment. To safeguard the employees, we provide a nutritious meal. They are not only delicious, we look at all the packed meals we have. We make sure that it is nutritious for them. We give frontliners with full protective gears. They have goggles, they have masks, they have gloves if they go into the guest room. We also remind them what is a dawn in a COVID-19 situation every single time they're in the briefing. So those are the things that we've done to the staff.
Those are really interesting things. I'm sure your staff are really, really happy, Stanley. How about for the guests? What are the initiatives that we're doing to maintain guest experience?
Yeah, as Tim mentioned, guest experience, that's how we are hoteliers over here. But guest experience also in this period of time changed. It became no longer the scenting in your lobby. It's no longer the speed of your porter. yeah, or the quality of your limousine. Safety is number one right now than anything else. Yeah. So we have implemented a lot of strict measures. Yeah. I share some of those. No mask, no entry. So we've done it a week ago. Yeah. And then we put a lot of emphasis on social distancing. So all of the service area, such like the receptions area, the breakfast pickup area, the smoking zone, we have a floor marker to guide our guests social distance. The guest leave also we implement only 4 person per guest leave in any time. Temperature check. So temperature check on top of the entrance. We also check in multiple locations of the hotels, included ourselves. So every time you walk from one section to another section, you got temperature check as well. Yeah. We implement a lot of no social gathering implementation. So the guests from one room, if they are long stay, they cannot visit another guest rooms right now. Okay. We also ban outside alcohol to bring to the hotel by this long stay guests, because that will initiate small gathering in the guest room, which we totally want to eliminate. Yeah. So we provide multi-purpose sanitizer in the room so they can clean the room surface, which are not normal in a normal situation. We promote a lot of awareness, up-to-date news in the lobby with the TVs to have updated things over there. So we also make sure all the guest rooms now that we sell come with complimentary breakfast, because we want them to have nutritious meal. These BPO employees, yeah, there's nothing more important than being healthy right now. We give them still an option of Asian, local or Western food. Yeah, of course, fresh fruits and yogurts. Yeah. So that's how we implement and maintain guest experience.
Thank you, Stanley. I would like to pose a final question to Stanley. Clearly, the crisis will not last forever. If you have crystal ball, what changes do you envision in the hotel or hospitality industry in the future?
Well, we don't know how long the situation will be, yeah, but we know that there will be an end in every crisis. Yeah. So we are very focused in order to survive this unprecedented COVID-19 crisis. So for a hotel, if I have a crystal ball, the nearest example I could refer for COVID-19 is SARS in 2003. Personally, I have an experience in that. I was in Singapore in 2003. I was with 800 rooms luxury corporate hotel in the city center of Singapore. The occupancy was in single digit for about 2 months, if I recall. But after the crisis over, the demand spiked far above any recovery I ever seen. So this is like a reset button, the COVID-19 situation right now. So when the reset button start on, the recovery spike up. So of course, with outstanding result, new hotel concept or brand will be all unveiled in that time. So that goes to also the new trend and great opportunity is awaiting for the industry again after the reset button.
Thank you, Stanley. I mean, there's certainly very helpful and best practices insights shared by our guests. Team, in a broad term, as we emerge into this new normal of this hospitality industry, would you like to highlight some final takeaways for us?
Tim, your microphone is mute.
Sorry, apologies. Thank you, Ray. As we move ahead, we've heard some very interesting initiatives, but as an industry, we've just, or as a country, we've just heard that community quarantine is going to be extended until April the 30th. So that's going to give us more challenges to unravel and until we reach an end to this. We cannot predict how long the final end will be, but we're certainly seeing some positive signs of recovery around the world, and the quarantine areas initiatives certainly are working very, very well. We've seen this in China particularly, whereas even in the hospitality industry, there are positive signs that travel is beginning to resume in a controlled fashion. Hotel occupancy is beginning to grow again as domestic travel for business and leisure is beginning to come together. So this is really, really critical to us. We sincerely hope that we will see more government initiatives, tax breaks, incentive to cushion the losses, both from a corporate perspective, from a human capital, human resources perspective, so we can all together, hand in hand, withstand the longer crisis. But more importantly and finally, we encourage you all, everybody in the industry, to face this head on, not hide from the situation. And we encourage everybody to develop foresight, planning, and developing a business adaptation plan, which can see you through not just today, not just till April 30th, but through to the future, and how we will run our business and what changes we will need to make to continue sustainability and growth. And certainly that's one of our initiatives from our hospitality practice here at NAI Philippines. We really are looking at working hand in hand with owners, operators, developers to help them plan and execute strategies to take us through and to take us out and into these areas of opportunities we see in the future. So lots of challenges, but lots of opportunity, and remain positive, guys, and we will prevail and we will be successful again.
Thank you, Tim. Fausto, you want to say some few words?
Well, I just like to thank you, Stanley and Tim, for the time, and of course for sharing those insights with us. And of course, to those who are joining us, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
For those of you who have questions, our guests here, please send us an email by responding to our webinar invitation you received. And on behalf of Fausto, Tim, Stanley, and all of us from NAI RCL, we thank you all, and remember to check the succeeding parts of this hospitality webinar series. We hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, be strong.